Just kick harder. This is the worst swimming advice I've ever heard. While your swim coaches and that random guy at the pool think they're helping you by telling you what you should and should not do, they could actually be making you a worse swimmer. So what I want to do in today's video is break down some of the worst swimming advice I've ever heard, what you should do about it, and how to fix those bad habits right now. Let's start with the basics. If you want to swim faster, just move your arms faster. If you move your arms faster, if you kick harder, you're just going to swim faster, right? Wrong. That couldn't be further from the truth. If you watch the best swimmers in the world, they're taking the fewest strokes. They have incredible efficiency and distance per stroke, and that's the key to swimming faster. So instead of trying to swim faster by moving your arms faster, simply improve your efficiency, increase your distance per stroke, and maximize every single pull that you take, and that's how you're gonna swim faster. Just kick harder. This is one of the worst pieces of swimming advice I've ever heard. This couldn't be further from the truth because your legs have so much blood flowing through them. If you kick harder, it's gonna suck all of your energy. It's probably gonna make your legs sink even more, and that decreased body position is just going to create more drag. Remember, the water is 800 times more dense than air. So if you wanna swim faster, it's actually better to maximize your efficiency by decreasing the amount of drag that you have, rather than focusing on propulsion. The easiest way to do that, especially for a beginner swimmer, is to simply not kick at all. It's super counterintuitive, but you'll actually swim faster if you don't use your legs at all and you let them float right behind you. Breathe on both sides to improve your efficiency and balance. Now, while this is true to an extent, it's really important not to overemphasize breathing on both sides, because this will actually make you lose your rhythm. So breathing on both sides, or breathing every 3 or 5 strokes in freestyle, is good to develop the stroke and improve your efficiency, but after a certain point, it actually has diminishing returns. So if you think about when you write, you're probably stronger at writing with one hand. You're right-handed or you're left-handed, and that's okay because you develop strength with that side. When you breathe, it's actually the same thing in swimming. So if you're biased to your right or your left side, that's actually okay, and I encourage that. As a swimmer and a coach myself, I see all the time swimmers who are unable to get into that rhythm, and it's because you're swimming, breathing on only one side every 3 to 5 strokes. So instead of breathing every 3 or 5 strokes, breathe every 2 or 4 strokes, and that will make you swim so much faster because you'll have that rhythm and you'll feel way more efficient doing it as well. Pull in an S pattern. Now, to understand what this means, back in the day when swim coaches were teaching swimming, they would say that when your fingertips enter the water, you want to actually pull in an S curve underneath the water, and that way you're going to grab the most water. Now, today we know that's not true, and in fact, the fastest and most powerful stroke is when your fingertips enter the water right in front of your shoulder, and then you pull directly back. Just go to the pool without a plan and feel it out. Take your time, get a feel of the water. Don't have a plan. And that could be one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen swimmers make time and time again. If you don't have a plan, if you don't know what you're gonna do before you get to the pool, you're not gonna make the most out of your time in the water. And sure, it's great to swim for mental clarity. Maybe you don't wanna think about anything, and that's perfectly fine. But as a piece of advice that I can give to you guys, it is so much more beneficial to your overall swimming routine and happiness if you have a game plan before you get to the pool. And that's why we developed the MySwimPro app. This is a personalized coach at a fraction of the cost of hiring a personal coach. So if you swim on your own, you can get a workout from your iPhone or Android, sync it to your Apple Watch or Garmin, and you can have a step-by-step guided workout progression so you get the most out of every second you're in the water. You'll swim faster if you just don't breathe. Now, while it's true that breathing does actually slow you down in the short term for 10 meters or less, but if you're trying to swim a 50 freestyle and you're not trained and you're not conditioned to actually survive the entire 50 freestyle or a longer distance without breathing, then you are going to swim slower, and it's going to make your overall workout feel that much more exhaustive and tiring. So it's really important that you have a breathing pattern that works for you, but make sure you're getting enough oxygen so you can swim consistently over a long period of time. Don't do flip turns if you're training for open water. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth, because if you're trying to swim faster above the water, you want to leverage the wall as much as possible. I've seen triathletes and open water swimmers turn around at the end of the lane, don't even push off the wall, and that's a huge mistake and some of the worst advice that I've ever heard. So instead, even if you're training for distance or open water or a triathlon, do the flip turn, push off the wall and streamline, maximize that speed so you can carry it into the stroke and swim as fast as you can over the water. Look at your feet in backstroke. And let me tell you, if you look at your feet in backstroke, you are going to sink. Now, your feet aren't going anywhere. So instead, look at the sky. That's gonna lift your hips up and that's gonna improve your overall body position in the water. If you look at your feet, your butt's gonna sink and you're gonna swim way slower. A drill that I like to do to focus on head position and body position in backstroke is to swim with a cup right on your forehead. And when you put a cup on your forehead, it's really gonna force you to keep that head position in the right spot. The same thing applies for freestyle. If you lift your head up, your butt's gonna sink. The wall isn't going anywhere, and just like in backstroke, your feet aren't going anywhere. So don't look at them, focus on keeping your line and swim fast. Swimming the entire workout with equipment is just fine. It's not cheating. Actually, as a matter of fact, swimming with equipment is not cheating, but you're gonna limit your full potential and you're increasing your risk of injury. So I don't think it's a good piece of advice to use your equipment whenever you want. Think of it like an Instagram filter. Sure, you want a polished version every now and then, but don't go and pretend you're someone that you're not. And swimming with equipment, swimming with fins and paddles for every single workout is going to increase your chance of injury because you're putting unnecessary stress on your joints and your tendons. Not only that, it's gonna give you an unrealistic feeling of speed in the water. So especially if you're training for performance and you wanna swim fast, do not swim with fins the entire workout. My rule of thumb is 50% of less of your weekly volume. So you might have some workouts that are a little bit more than that, some that are a little bit less, but try and have your overall weekly volume less than 50% with equipment. Air is 800 times more dense than water. If you're an OG, you know that's not true. You know that water is 800 times. Water is 800 times more. You've been telling them water is 800 times more dense than air since the beginning. No, water is 800 times more dense than air. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you're fascinated on how to swim faster and smarter than ever before, you're gonna love this video right over here. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.